Good morning and welcome to Monday's Early Morning Intuitive Guidance. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum. Here are some words of wisdom to start your day off well. And we have a lovely card today that, as usual, trailers right on to the themes I was working on today. So hopefully the same for you. Hopefully the same for you. So give it a minute for people to jump on, and then we'll dive into this beautiful card and some commentary. But as always, let us start with some tapping and some breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Shake it off a little bit. Hearing the grinding in your neck. Hello, neck. Good morning, good morning. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend. And we're moving into 3 days of really, really hot. So I'm not sure exactly how I will navigate that, but I'll figure out something. The heat and the humidity, not my friends. So I started this morning first off with breath work. Why? Because I had a half an hour before it was time to jump on here, and the particular breathwork music I wanted to use was a 16-minute segment, so I thought, well, that'll fit in there just wonderfully. Good morning to whomever just popped on. Abigail, good morning, good morning. Glad you are here. Welcome. Thank you for the sparkles. I love those. They remind me of the 50s. Yeah, kind of that mid-century era. So, let's see what else. Anyway, breath work. Excuse me. For those of you who are doing the 30 Days of Breathwork Challenge with me, how's it going? Let's get some commentary here. Good morning, Carolyn. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So I hope what you're experiencing is, those of you who are doing my 30 Days of Breathwork Challenge, that things begin to shift, that things begin to move, that what felt stuck, stagnant, blah, is happening. Good morning, Angie. Thank you for the sunshine and the coffee. Much appreciated. When we consciously choose to do some breath work, deep breathing, panting breath, all the things, what you'll find is things begin to move, and what felt previously stuck, even if the only aspect of it that's moving is our thoughts and feelings about it. Hello, Gwen. Glad you're here. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. Everything moves on the breath. I've said that before. I'll say it again. Everything moves on the breath. So when we are willing to consciously choose to breathe to a piece of music, or just, I find it easiest with music simply because there's something that reminds me what I'm in the middle of doing. Being a very ADD person, that musical assistance is so helpful. So, but what are you finding? What are you finding? Today I chose to breathe for health. The reason I chose that is I made the observation over the weekend that as I looked at myself and everyone around me, everybody's struggling with physical stuff, whether it's the fallout from the crappy air quality we've had because of the Canadian fires, whether it's chronic physical conditions, whether it's anxiety, stress, depression, whatever the root. I looked around and I saw that everybody had some things going on physically, mentally, emotionally that meant they were not at peak health. So that's what I chose to breathe on. Excuse me. Still have the cough too. I think it's getting better. And what began to flow was the idea that doing a little, that part of what keeps us unhealthy, good morning, Mel, glad you're here, welcome. Part of what keeps us unhealthy is that we don't do a complete letting go of things in our life that are no longer serving us. So, for instance, someone I know who got a divorce maybe 10 years ago still does that person's laundry. There isn't a complete bless you on your way going on. And that doesn't mean that we can't be kind and do kind things, etc. But again, I think we really, really, really want to take a good hard look at why are we doing what we're doing. In that case, it feels to me, good morning, Joe Neal, welcome. Good morning, Bonnie, glad you're here. It feels to me like it's a cover for not being willing to fully say goodbye, to fully let go. And therefore, being stuck, the new can't come in because the old really hasn't gone out. Let me say that again. The new can't come in because the old really hasn't gone out. And we need to, again, my question, what am I pretending not to know? What am I pretending not to know? So one of the ones that I arrived at as I was doing today's breath work was there's a project that I have not fully let go of yet that I believe is getting in the way of what am I supposed to be doing next. Thank you for the sunshine and the sunrise, very pretty. It's getting in the way. It's getting in the way. And we like to make up excuses. And I'm just going to throw out some that I've heard over a bazillion years. Well, I'm going to stay in this marriage until the kids are out of high school. Well, I'm going to stay in this job until my husband retires and then I can make a move. I'm going to stay, I'm going to stay. Even though we're acknowledging that whatever it is we're staying in is not in our highest and best good. And the bottom line is to really, truly let go of something, to say goodbye, someone, a circumstance, a job, whatever. Yes, a very scary question sometimes. Be as honest with yourself as you can be. I mean, even to say to yourself, I know I am choosing to stay in this circumstance, whatever it is, a marriage, a job, a house, whatever. I know I am choosing to stay in this circumstance out of fear. Own it. Own it. I am staying here out of fear. I'm staying here out of fear of the unknown. I'm staying here out of fear of my financial circumstances. I'm staying here out of fear, whatever, right? Own it. Own it. So, tomorrow I have one I'm going to address. And do I think it will necessarily go well? No. Do I think they're going to understand why I'm saying what I'm saying? No. Am I afraid to say it? Yes. Am I going to say it anyway? Yes. Because that's kind of who I am. So, today's card, I actually changed the title when I put it in the feed here because the word that is on the card itself I think has a bunch of connotations for Americans. When we hear this word, we've got a whole litany of beliefs that get set off. And I think many of those beliefs right now are not serving us well. And we need to actually be practicing kind of the opposite. And I tend to avoid saying opposites. I don't like looking at things as linear. I think the duality in the world is part of what we're trying to transcend right now, something we need to move past in order to really raise our vibration. And I'll tell you what the word is, and then I'll read the card, and hopefully some of you pick up on the irony of the word, the title of the card, and all the connotations that get set off for people, but what it really says, what this card really says. So, nice deep breath in and out. I have yoga today. I'm so looking forward to yoga today. The Wild Offering deck by Tosha Silver. Excuse me. This is about turning it over. This is about stopping the control freak issues. This is about letting go, being in the flow, allowing. How many times have I said these words? How many times have I journaled about these words? This is our theme. This is one of our big themes. So the card is, first I gotta show you the back. As always, Ganesh, the overcomer of obstacles. And one of the things that I like is he's holding an axe. Sever those cords, cut those cords. Be done with what you're done with. There's so many analogies I could use, but it's kind of like leaving a tooth in your mouth that's rotten. What happens? It begins to poison the system, all right? So we want to be cleansing and clearing and blessing on its way whatever no longer serves us. The word is independence. So, first thing, what are all the connotations that come up in your mind for independence? I'll do it myself. I don't need your help. Blah, blah, blah. Independence is valued. The Marlboro Man, right? He died of lung cancer. Anywho, just saying. Independence. Independence. What are your beliefs about independence? What were you taught about independence? Do it on your own. Don't ask for help. We're a fiercely independent nation, United States of America. That united, let's circle that. That's got some issues going on. Independence. So listen to the words. Take a breath. Let go of the connotations. Be in a place of as open to hearing the message as you can be. The more you learn to feed yourself on the inside and care for your inner child, the more freestanding you become. Help me feed and love this inner child, dear Lord. This kind of fit with the concept, was that yesterday or the day before? I'm not sure. But anyway, that concept of go within for your answers. You don't need some external guru to tell you how to do anything. Who you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to be like. I get kind of flipped out when I see groups of people where everybody looks the same. Whose agenda were they taking on? Are they truly being who they are meant to be? Independence doesn't mean hermit, okay? Independence means thinking for yourself, making decisions about what's divinely right for me. It's looking within. What are the messages I'm getting? What's my internal guidance telling me about this? And it may be different than what someone else's internal guidance is telling them. We need to step away from being the lemmings. And Jonelle and I are going to actually do one of our videos on this whole idea. Hang on a second, I got such a mess here. Thought I wrote it down. Anywho, the gist being that we have so polarized stuff, and that we've so gotten wound up in fear, F-E-A-R, and some of you might say, well, I'm not fearful, but if I guarantee you, if we had a conversation and I scratched the surface, underneath there's going to be some fear. It may not be the totally crippling fear that a lot of people are feeling, but it's still there and it's still influencing, and that's a problem. So we want to acknowledge where this fear-mongering is coming from, and we want to step back from those sources. I'm going to put it in the proverbial they. They want to keep us afraid because it's easier to manage us when we're in fear rather than when we're asking questions, when we're verifying information that's been given to us, when we're willing to say, I don't believe that, I don't buy that, that doesn't work for me, I'm not willing to go there. When we're pointing out, can you see how you're layering in the fear? That is not serving you, it is not serving us. Let's shift gears, let's do something else. Let's link arms. Let's talk to people who think differently than we do. Good morning, Nancy, glad you're here. Let's spend time truly hearing what others have to say, even if they say it with rhetoric, even if they say it with that push of I'm right and you're wrong and you need to change your opinion. See if you can step back just a little bit and truly hear what's under there. Oftentimes what's under there is, if I don't have a clear right and wrong, us and them, blah, 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 I don't know what to do. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I think. I don't know. How do I allow people to think differently than me? How do I coexist with people who think differently than me? How do I develop a willingness to hear other people's reasoning? And oftentimes, people can't give you the reasoning. Why? Because they're soaking up some rhetoric that whatever end, it doesn't matter. I mean, what I think is so funny and what Jonelle and I want to talk about is how both ends in ways are saying the same thing, but they're trying to pit you against the other end. That's not productive for any of us. That is not productive for any of us. So we need to go within. We need to ask ourselves, well, what do I think? And if the answer that comes back is, I don't know, then we have the opportunity to go out and find more information, talk to more people, read more studies, learn more things, and be very, very careful that we don't just tilt toward what feels comfortable to us. Be willing to be uncomfortable. Be willing to be uncomfortable with what comes up from within. If what comes up from within, what am I pretending not to know? I'm pretending not to know that I'm operating out of fear. I'm choosing the path of least resistance. I'm avoiding doing the hard things. Whatever it is, whatever it is. So, learn to feed yourself. Learn to validate yourself. Learn to get the answers you need from reliable sources. Be cautious on your sources. From reliable sources. Have conversations. Have stimulating conversations. I told a friend of mine last week when we met for lunch how much I valued his friendship because we could talk about stuff. We could talk about deep stuff. He's a font of knowledge, for one thing. That's always helpful. But he's willing to put stuff out there, listen, chew on stuff, and not just lunch. And I so value that in people, and it's harder and harder to find. We need less rhetoric. We need more inquiry. We need less us and them. We need more curiosity. We need less fear, and we need more faith and trust. So that's today's card, titled Independence. I kind of titled it something a little bit different, but hopefully it kind of, and if you're doing my 30 Days of Breathwork Challenge, this would be a great thing to breathe on. This would be a great topic for a breathe, and then some journaling. So I already have like 2 pages of my journaling done, because I came up with so much stuff that came out of that breathe just about health. And notice how all this stuff is kind of woven together. It's interwoven, because that's helpful as you're trying to figure out, who am I? What's my mission here? What am I planning to do? What's most important to me? All the things. So have a curious Monday. Have a curious Monday. Spend some time going within. If you do breath work, that's your perfect time to go within. If you do yoga, that's a perfect time to go within. Whatever you do, a walk, going on a walk, that's a lovely time to go within. So, see you tomorrow. Remember, you are capable of far more than you think you are. I might be on jury duty tomorrow, but I don't think I have to report until 8:30, so we can still do YEMIG if I do indeed get called. We'll see what happens. So remember, you are capable of far more than you think you are. Bye-bye.